There's many secret storylines hidden in Season 3, like a mountain, yes, a mountain separating us from Chapter 2's island with significant proof, the new rift beacons not being from who you think, and yes, the Wanderer finally arriving with his own dialogue. We're exploring 6 different theories in Season 3, starting with how we'll see Chapter 2's return. There's substantial proof that Chapter 2 is just a mountain away from Chapter 5's map. Just last season, the Sandstorm event brought something we all suspected to life, proving that Fortnite's mountains, yes, the mountains off in the distance, have a significant role in the storyline. This mountain was struck by lightning, and the sandstorm came from this one in particular, and this led to some players looking at the mountains a little bit more closely from Fortnite's past. Just last season, Midas and his entire crew came to the map on the yacht, presumably from somewhere off in the ocean, and it's suspected from just over these mountains. This theory gets crazier though, because back in Chapter 2, the skyline looks very familiar, and this mountain in particular from day 1 in Chapter 2 was there from start to finish. Look at the skyline at the Chapter 5 map today and you'll see this exact same mountain which seems identical, and you could be thinking, Aid, this is just a reused asset, but it's inverted. When it arrived in Chapter 5, the boat was pointed towards this mountain in particular that Midas and his crew left on, and because you can see the same mountain in this chapter as there was in Chapter 2, what if the only thing separating Chapter 2 and Chapter 5 is this mountain in particular? This is an insane theory that even lines up with the roadmap leak, so to get to Fortnite Chapter 2 OG, we can assume the only thing separating us is this very mountain. Other theories suggest this chapter is a prequel due to the rocket having the time machine on it before it hit the 0 point in the Big Bang event. This could potentially mean that in this new timeline, after Midas and his crew left our island, they discovered the Chapter 2 map, and that's how we'll be able to relive Chapter 2 Season 2. There's something else on the map right now that also reminds us of Chapter 2, and it could even be giving us a look at next season. By now, on the snowy mountain, everyone's seen the hidden bunker, which is similar to the ones from the Chapter 2 map, with the only difference being that there's someone or something in there making creepy sounds, waiting to be released. In the past few weeks, there's been many speculations on who this could be, either the Wanderer, who we'll touch on a bit later, or a creature like the Devourer, but the answer has been in front of us this entire time. This secret outfit is Magneto, the popular villain, and if you consider yourself a hardcore Marvel fan, you might know in the X-Men movies, Magneto was held captive in a similar bunker which was built specifically to counter his ability to control any metal objects. In the movies, he was freed by Mystique, who we have as a skin in Fortnite after she turned herself into a guard and managed to sneak into Magneto's cell. Coupled with the banging sounds from it, which could be from failed attempts for him to transform his metal, this could possibly be where the bunker's inspired from, and maybe how we'll transition to the plot of Fortnite's second Marvel season, given that we're set to get Magneto as well as his mythic power very soon. It's possible after his release the bunker's gonna open, allowing players to explore the inside. In the new update with the return of rift beacons that we've all seen by now, everyone thought that this means the return of Tony Stark, but this likely isn't the case at all for a reason that went over everyone's head. Scattered in all corners of the map with the new update are these red rift beacons used to teleport in new POIs, and the last time we saw a similar model was in Chapter 2 Season 4. The story goes they all face towards Frenzy Farm on the Chapter 2 island, bringing the giant upstate New York biome with Stark Industries on it, which was one of the most popular POIs of all time, and alongside it, other small POIs were there in the form of landmarks. Many thought it was shaping up to look like Season 4 will be filled with tons of map changes, but these won't be Marvel. Places like Stark Industries, an Avengers Tower POI, or even a location dedicated to Magneto and other Marvel villains were hoped for, but this just isn't possible. This is because if you compare the old rift beacon to the new one, you'll see while yes, they have similar shaping and coloring, the old ones read Stark Industries on them in very small print, signifying that yes, these were built by none other than Iron Man and related to Marvel. But take a look at one of the new ones and this logo is entirely absent. So while we could be seeing something teleported in like the iconic X Mansion, Avengers Tower, or even Baxter Building, the home to the Fantastic Four, it's more likely that this will be something to do with Fortnite's story. And using the clues around these new beacons, we can spot that they also have telescopes around them, which leads us to another character we know was obsessed with telescopes, Valeria, the sister of Hope. She might be the one behind this after all, considering she's responsible for the Pandora's box opening in the first place, leading to all of this expanding mess. The rift beacons could be being used to summon back Pandora's box, which makes sense in how they could malfunction, leading us to next season, Marvel. As for Pandora's box though, something else was just added that hints towards its return as a whole. When it first appeared on the island, the box had a glowing orb showcasing different star constellations that ended up being teasers for Greek god outfits that would be a part of the battle pass. If you head over to Sandy Steps now, where Hope's taken over a house as her base of operations, you can find a secret room which has the gem holder. We all know this is linked to the box, and in new quests, Hope instructs us to go you'll find the missing Pandora's box gems in the wasteland. In this week, one of the gems has already been placed, with 3 more missing, but the leaked image of the gems reveals that there's 6. While the meaning behind most of these constellations currently is unknown, one in particular has caught some eagle-eyed players' attention because it's a massive teaser to Chapter 2 returning. Taking a closer look to the constellation, you'll notice that it looks oddly familiar, and that's because it's part of the Ghost logo, Midas's faction. We know he left the map on his yacht in search of a better place for his ambitions, so this might mean that we're going to be meeting him again very soon. This alone could give us a hint towards these other constellations mean teasing future updates. It's obvious the sword one is a reference to Pirates of the Caribbean, the crown probably one to Fall Guys, and the current one in game definitely looks a lot like Magneto's helmet. In any of these cases, it's certain these gems are going to be crucial to finding Pandora's box again, which we may see happen in this season's live event. There's 4 gems, and since one's already been added, we can assume the rest will be added in the next 3 updates, which brings us to the Wanderer. You see, also in this update, Fortnite's become super creepy, with characters literally being stalked by an unknown ghost-like figure who's been a reference to some of the game's oldest legends. Let me explain. The season's quests have a side story of figuring out who or what is the character called the Wanderer, who was first mentioned in the Oracle's prophecy in Season 2. We all know this began at the start of the season, where multiple sprays of an unknown hooded figure could be found in different POIs, and they could even be spotted in this Battle Pass loading screen. Since then, things have escalated in new quests, because there's some NPCs around the map, and you can ask them if everything's normal, and it seems there's weird activity going on to some of their answers. Many characters are terrified after they report being watched by a hooded figure lurking in the darkness, but they vanish once they turn to get a good look. This is building up to what we were warned about in Season 2, a power stronger than even the gods of Olympus, and this mystery figure is going to be revealed very shortly. Given the rift beacons are being set up around the map, theorists now think it's more possible than ever for Doctor Doom to be the Wanderer, since he may be secretly setting the beacons up to bring his dominion back to the map again, and maybe we'll even be able to see a new version of Doom's Domain, which was a popular POI in Chapter 2, Season 4. No matter whether this turns out to be Doctor Doom as fans theorize, or even something entirely new, it's cool to see Fortnite getting a bit creepy again, considering Save the World was initially meant to be a horror game. This is reminiscent of fan theories about Slenderman and Wailing Woods, or the clowns that tilted watching you, so this could be a neat reference to those times. More will be revealed as the questline expands, but first we need to talk about the 0 point. This thing is the core of Fortnite, and of course I'm talking about the 0 point, which was last seen in Season OG and never mentioned since. That was up until we got some new voice lines by Jones himself in the new update, who's behind the extraction of the 0 point in OG and the Big Bang event itself. The big question everyone was asking is if the 0 point still exists on the current map, and if so, where is it? And we might have an answer. Jones explains that during the Big Bang event he got lost inside the 0 point, as you can hear here.
When I got lost in the 0 point, I got all the way lost, so just leave it alone.
Which lines up with us seeing him appear in the live event for a brief moment after the 0 point's explosion. The reason he reveals that is because Hope is eager to find the Pandora's box, because she feels like she wants it to be found, and in the wrong hands power like that could have devastating results.
And worst case, it falls into the wrong hands. The box wants to be found. I can feel it.
Jones, on the other hand, has had his experience with the IO exploiting the 0 point, so just like the 7 once believed, he claims that the power like that is better off if it's left untouched. This might mean that the 0 point does exist somewhere on the map right now, potentially under the central lake, and is left alone for now. With next season being Marvel, it won't be too far-fetched to think some villains will want to exploit the 0 point's power like we've seen Galactus do, so as the season progresses, we may get to know more about where the 0 point's been all this time, and what'll be happening once both it and Pandora's box, 2 powerful objects appear on the same island. These are elements that are going to change Fortnite's storyline for the coming seasons.